first round match in the NCAA Tournament from Vanderbilt tonight. We've got head coach Darren Ambrose and sophomore defender Mary Beth McLaughlin. We're going to start first, Coach, with the opening statement.
Obviously, incredibly happy to win. It was a very different game than the one we played in August, and we expected that. I'm not sure that our players were fully aware that that would be the case until halftime. But credit to Corey and Tennessee Tech for making this a very difficult game for us. I knew that would be the case, but I thought our response after halftime was first class, and we showed a little bit of acceleration and determination, and that was the difference in the game. And the harder you work, sometimes the luckier you get, and we got a fortunate bounce, and it changed the game. But overall, some very good things came out of the second half, and we're excited to be moving on.
All right, questions for Mary Beth.
Mary Beth, can you take us through your mind when you ripped that shot and scored that crazy goal?
Yeah. A few minutes before I went on a dribble that was really long, and I just kept going, and they opened it up, and my teammates after that were like, just shoot it. And so the next time I got the chance, and they opened it up for me, and I took the opportunity and just ripped it.
How did it feel to score your first career goal?
It was awesome. I didn't know at first if it was going in, and then they reviewed it, and my teammates were so excited for me, and they lifted me up and started cheering, so it made me feel really grateful.
Yeah, Mary Beth, you guys in that second half started ripping a lot more shots like the one you made. I think Courtney Jones had a few good looks.
Mm-hmm.
What was that something that as a team you recognized? Was that something you guys talked about at halftime, or in the first half you were a little bit apprehensive to really take those shots, but it worked for you in the second?
Yeah, so first half we came out flat, and we that wasn't like us, and we went in at halftime and we regrouped. We told each other we need to come out with more heart, more grit, and then we were kind of playing a possession game, and finally we decided we need to take those shots because it works when you take them. So yeah.
Questions for Coach?
Coach, what aspect of your offensive scheme specifically changed, if any, at halftime that allowed you guys to find the back of the net twice?
It was the halftime conversation was we're playing the game, we're not competing the game. And even when you have the ball, you have to have a competitive mentality. And we were very passive in the first half. The game was slow, and we slowed it down even further. So it was really a reminder of you don't win games unless you are aggressive in your mentality when you have the ball. And you don't win games by connecting 700 passes. You win games by scoring goals, and you score by shooting, and you score by following up, and you score by getting in the 18-yard box. And it really wasn't a tactical thing. It was really more of a heart and desire thing. And that's what it took. And the first 10, 15 minutes, there was clearly a difference. And it just felt like a matter of time. It was more as asserting who we are, right? Who we are as players and who we are as athletes, and taking the game by the scruff of the neck. We were participants in the game in the first half. We didn't own it.
Go ahead.
When you saw the first goal from Courtney Jones go in, was there kind of a sigh of relief there to finally being on the board?
Sure. I think for a team that possesses the ball as much as we do and generally outshoots a lot of teams, we hadn't created anything that was incredibly dangerous in the first half. And the fear is the longer the games go like that in soccer, right, that there's a bad bounce or something goes either way. I didn't think they ever looked dangerous in challenging us to score, but we had to score. And when we got the free kick, Courtney's known for being able to put it on frame. And unfortunately for Tennessee Tech, it hit one of their kids. It was a good shot, but it proves the idea of you miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take. And we were forced into taking one, and it took a bounce for us, and we it was a little bit of a release valve and pressure, and we knew then that we had the game.
Coach, less than a week ago you won the SEC championship,
Yep.
and then you earned the program's first #1 seed. How do you, amongst that uncharted territory of earning the #1 seed, how did you center this relatively young group of girls and
Yep.
go out there and win today when it's not guaranteed in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, no, and that was the battle, to be honest with you. when you come off as an emotional hangover from those couple of days afterwards, when everyone's patting you on the back and telling you how awesome you are, and that to me is living in the moment and enjoying it. We wanted to enjoy it because who knows when that will happen again. So we allowed ourselves and gave ourselves permission for that, and then slowly kind of tried to climb our way back into it. And we trained really well on yesterday. Thursday was really good. But it was really about just remember about who we are and what we are. And it's hard to even to communicate to a team when they've beaten somebody early in the season quite comfortably to try and remind them that's not what it's going to look like. And they had to experience that for themselves. And I think there's, no matter what you say or how you say it, they have to experience it. So we tried to prepare, and we talked about it as a group in holding our standards and being and asserting ourselves and playing within the identity we have. But it wasn't until the second half when we realized that we can't just show up and win that it took effect. And so that's the benefit of of two halves of the game.
And then looking forward, you guys have Clemson in the
Yep.
second round. Very notable ACC program,
Yeah.
a relatively young team, quite like yours.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about, that matchup and hosting them next Thursday?
Yeah, it's the first time we've hosted them. We've been there twice. Eddie's been around even longer than I have, and he'll do a good job. They are young, but they're talented. Their freshmen are very good. We know a lot of them from the recruiting world. Mary and our teammates, her teammates, will know a lot of those players. I don't think there'll be any doubt about us being motivated and prepared and ready. Haven't really looked at video or anything about kind of how they play, what their style is and their system. We haven't done that yet, but we will start that tomorrow.
When you played Tennessee Tech the first time, what was different about them this time?
I mean, they were so defensively organized, and trying to break down 10 and 11 players at times, 25 yards from 30 yards from goal, is incredibly difficult. Last time they were a little bit more open. They were still trying to figure out their own identity, as were we. In fact, in that game, we were up 1-0. We scored a second goal right before halftime. We were up 2-0 at halftime, but even that game was, until the second half, was actually a closer game than the scoreline would suggest. So I think this time they came with the intent. There was a little more motivation for them. Credit, they weren't intimidated. They weren't afraid. They had a game plan. Corey put it in. They knew what to do to make it hard. Whereas in the first game, they were like us. They were still playing people in different positions in a different system, and the game was more open, and there was less at stake. And that changes everything about how you prepare. It changes everything about a player's mindset in those games. So the game was even more in their half this time, even more. But there were 21 players. Woj was the only one not in their half for large stretches of that game, and that's very difficult to navigate and frustrating at times. So,
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.